we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado, this is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
We've all put out a lot of content since then. A lot of talking.
A lot of our voices on the airwaves.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fun, though. Like we were saying here.
Of course.
Being able to create, and what you do is really cool because it's super
Thanks, man.
niche specific, and a lot of people try to do what you do, but I see them fall off after 15, 20 movies.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
okay, now what?
Yeah, totally. It is a bummer to see a lot of really cool concepts come to life with podcasts, and then they just kind of max out at 15 to 30 episodes. And I think a lot of media companies also were laying people off, and so a lot of the Vox podcasts, they had to cut a bunch of those.
And those were good.
They were really
Vox
good.
is good.
Yeah, totally. So that's kind of, it's a bummer. So unfortunately, it is kind of rare to see podcasts continue for several hundred episodes, and here we are.
Here we are.
Some of the lucky ones.
Where are you at now?
Where am I at? I'm,
which
Numerically.
let's see. I'm at 140.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at 140.
Okay, yeah, you're getting up there.
Yeah.
Some people, the thing is with podcasting, because we have a lot of people that come to us trying to consult, how do we do it? And just some of the advice that I always give is do it if you have a passion for whatever you're going to be talking about.
Totally.
Because you don't necessarily make money quick podcasting.
Right.
Yeah.
There's potential there, and you can monetize and make
Absolutely.
money for sure.
Yeah.
But you have to do it for a really long time before you start to get any of that traction.
Totally.
And I feel like people have the energy in the beginning, and they have this idea, and they get all excited about it, and then after they don't see immediate results, then they're kind of they start phasing out.
Totally. Yeah, you got to give it time, not just for other people to catch on and listen and to grow your audience and stuff, but also to kind of figure out what you're doing too. I feel I had thought out my concept a lot before I got started, but I feel it takes a little bit to get into a rhythm and to really figure out what you want it to look and sound like, and what, I don't know, just kind of what your whole vibe is. So I think you kind of have to wait for some of that to develop too, because it's only going to develop from experience and actually doing it,
That's true. Yeah, I would agree with that, because when we started, I didn't know what we were doing. We're just let's just turn the mics on.
We're not having parties.
It was, people were partying over here while we're trying to record. And it's
totally.
We got to start taking this more seriously at some point.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, totally.
I remember one time, and I'll call out the people. It was my older brother and Mark Trimble.
I know where
Shout
this is
out.
going.
Who's a family friend, and Mark was being our engineer at that
This
point.
was episode 10
Yeah, and he
God.
was only our engineer
for 4 episodes.
Yeah,
And he's like, I'm out.
yeah, he didn't do it long, and him and my brother were having this whole side political conversation.
Oh my God.
After we had started recording.
Yeah.
And I remember just sitting there, and I was looking at Kev. I was trying to do this, and I'm like, yo, Mark, cut it, man. I'm cut this. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, dude, you guys can't be having this side conversation over here.
Yeah, you can't have a side conversation when we're recording a conversation.
It's no good.
It took, but to your point though, is it took us doing it 8 weeks or whatever that was at that point.
Totally.
A little bit of time before we were all right, we kind of know what we're doing, and we want to have that direction and professionalism, so we can't be having these side conversations.
Yeah.
But we did allow that for a little bit.
For a while. It was like a party.
It was like a
big
party recording party.
We didn't know what it was yet, because that was the thing.
Right.
We didn't have a theme to go off of movies or music. We were just let's just talk about everything,
Right.
to make it pretty lucrative for anybody and everybody, that kind of thing. And then we had the mission statement, and then we took it to the market and started okay, who else is doing this in Denver? That's when we met.
Right.
That's when we met John Ekstrom.
Yeah.
And it just kind of kept building from there. So it was cool to get in with those guys early and kind of see who else was doing it.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting because even though this type of media, radio shows have been around forever, right? But podcasting itself is still such a new industry and a new format, new kind of media. So I think we're all kind of
Just figuring
learning.
it out.
You
it's
know?
changing rapidly too.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, we've been at 5 years and it's changed tremendously since then. You mentioned radio now, like, KOA, for example, here in town, all their talk shows, their morning guys will then be on a podcast. Same thing.
Yeah.
So you can listen to it live or you can listen to it later on iHeart or whatever.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's smart. You're tapping two markets, but
Yeah.
things are changing in this
are
market.
changing.
But as long as we're having fun with it.
As long as we're having fun. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
So when you're lining up your episodes, like movie-wise, and of course you kind of incorporate interviews with it too, with your guests
Right,
and whatnot,
yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Because you're getting to know someone and talking about a film that you've both seen and did
Yeah,
that
it's
age well.
fun.
You could even do a repeat episode on a similar film, and it'll be completely different feedback depending on the guest.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah.
Have you done that, like 2 of the same films in your 140 episodes, or?
No, I haven't actually. We've it's only been new movies. There's some that I feel like it would be fun to revisit maybe in a couple of years, like some of the ones that we did in the very, very early days. Every so often I will just re-release one of the old episodes just to kind of like bring it to the top of the feed and have people like listen to some of the old classics, you
That's
know?
not a bad idea.
Which is fun because like a lot of the time people will ask me like, "Oh, have you done Mean Girls? Have you done this movie? Have you done that movie?"
You're all
You're like,
like,
yeah, here
And
it
I'm
is.
like, here it is. You know, sometimes we've done it like, 2.5 years ago, and it's like, yeah, this one's fun to revisit, just like something to put up.
I like that.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. So like when you're planning ahead, do you think about like the guest to the movie, or do you think about the movie and then the guest just comes with it, or like is there a pairing there? Is it random?
It's usually I start with the guest, and then usually I'll let the guest pick the movie. I have a list of running ideas, like ideas that listeners have sent in and stuff, and like also just in random conversations when people are like, "Hey, you should do this movie." I'll add it to my big list.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
So that, yeah, usually it starts with the guest, and then I'll ask them if there's a movie that they really want to talk about. I'll send them a list for inspiration if they want it, and then usually they'll like pick something from that list. And so it kind of works out naturally because
Nice.
like people pick something that they're interested in talking about.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
that's how it worked with us when we were on your show. We did Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh yeah,
which was
we had
fantastic.
so much fun.
That
That
was.
was
That was
a
a good
great
one.
episode
And a
lot
great
of fun.
movie.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I think about that rewatch all the time, actually.
When we rewatched it before the show.
Yeah, well, no,
Yeah.
since I rewatched it for your show,
Yeah.
I like think about that movie more now that I rewatched it, and it like makes me think maybe I should be going back and rewatching more movies from the past.
Absolutely.
And honestly, a lot of those movies are like really solid still. Like the
Oh my God.
effects
The
look
90s
good, and like
The 90s
the
had some
plots
juice.
are good.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like I feel like they're still coming up with original movies back then.
I would agree.
You
Yeah,
know, like
absolutely. Like original IP was like normal.
Yeah.
Like most big blockbusters were like original IP. Crazy.
so it's like, what did they run out of like book authors?
I don't know.
You know, because like a lot of these great like movies are made off of like a book.
That's true. I mean,
And then so it's like, where did all the good movie ideas go?
well, you'd think of like, James Cameron, who's one of my favorite directors.
Yep.
Look at his portfolio. The Terminator, right? Comes out of the gate strong with that in the 80s and early 90s. Titanic, late 90s, on into Avatar in the 2010s. I mean, great original films.
Yeah.
That he didn't obviously write it all, but he had heavy involvement with. So I just think it's like those brilliant minds when we look at, like Tarantino and some of those guys. We grew up in a tremendous movie generation.
Oh my God, yeah. And I think that those stories are still out there, like original IP and like original screenplays, like they exist, but they just don't get funded because it's a lot easier for a studio to be like, oh, well, we know that Marvel makes money, so we'll make another one. I know, no tea, no shade. I know you're a Marvel guy.
That's I mean, they kind of fell off, honestly.
You think so?
Because they were like overdoing it.
Too much.
Yeah,
you
they
can-
needed to play a little bit harder to get. Like, you gotta give the people something to want, you gotta give
Yeah.
people a chance to miss you
Yeah,
a little
tease
bit.
it a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
almost
And they
too
were
much.
coming out with like 3 movies a year.
And like 4 different series on
Yes.
Disney Plus, and like
Yeah,
all this different stuff.
yeah,
It's too much. You're tapping the well too much. You're going to run it dry.
exactly.
It's like the Fast and the Furious movie chain. Like, I love cars. I love racing. It's like, how do we really need to make another one? Like, I think we kind of get it already.
I
understand.
haven't even seen all of them at this point.
I'm up to like maybe 7 or 8. I don't think I saw
Yeah.
9 yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, we get it. It's about family. You won the race. You robbed the whole world. Like, we get it.
There are only so many places in the world where you can drive cars, and then you're gonna go to space, and then what? Like, and then where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna drive?
They're gonna go into the neurozone. What is it called? They're like
The neurozone.
It's like in your brain or something. They're gonna do like neuro racing.
Wow, yeah.
Where it's like some kind of dream
Some
world.
It's a
futuristic.
dream.
Yeah, dream
it's
world
not
race.
actually
It's like AI.
happening, but
Yeah.
it's in your AI.
Yeah, it's like an AI race
Yeah.
competition next.
Yeah.
I mean, again, enough with that. The Saw
Enough.
movies, the same thing. I think they finally stopped.
Yeah, thank God.
Jigsaw.
So there is like we can all agree in this room that there's like a value to scarcity,
Yeah.
right? Like if
think
it's
so.
not coming all the time, like if it's not like sometimes I feel like that when I post because I like
Yeah.
post stories and stuff frequently, and sometimes I feel like I need to take a couple days off. So then if I say something of value, people will actually take it seriously.
Right.
A post is just here's another and here's another like. I don't know.
Because then people are just ripping through it with
Yeah.
social media. Because
True.
then there's that whole aspect, right? Is the social media side, and you know how that goes when you post an app.
yeah.
You got to run the reels, you got to do your sizzles and your promo clips and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It adds all that extra work, and it's like, is the return on investment worth it? Are you getting the clicks on it?
Right.
Like, but it's part of the routine. It's what we got to do to check the boxes, right?
Totally. And it's hard too to know like the connection between if someone's interacting with your content on social media and if they're actually like listening to the show. But at the same time, it's like doesn't even matter. If I take a clip from one of my episodes and it's cool and funny on its own, like, yeah, obviously I want to use it as a teaser so that people go and listen to the episode.
Right.
But like, I guess, I don't know, is it that bad if people just like it for the short thing that it is? I don't know.
That's an interesting point because I've talked to a lot of people, just different creators, and just how do you do it and what do you recommend? And like a lot of people say the shorts, the TikTok reels,
Yep.
That because people have, well, we know not a very large attention span, and they want their information faster and they're quick hits and they're just ripping through. And if there's a funny clip in your show, great, they get something out of it, or perhaps they're a return listener.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I guess it depends like where the juice is at, right? Like what's piquing someone's interest, and people's interest can change, right? So it's like, oh, that might really draw me in this week, but then next week I'm not in that mood, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, for example, I've recently got on TikTok, and I will go ahead and say it's definitely holds you more than any other like social media app.
I never got on it.
Like just the way that they run it, like it's like very. Like, because when you hit the back button, I know I told you this, but when you hit the back button to exit, it plays another video instead.
Yeah.
And I think that is what really makes that special. But sometimes I'll like get into like, the predator, like there's this Colorado predator catching predators, and it's this dude that like shows up at people's
I've seen
houses,
that.
and he's all like, hey man, like I get the cops involved or not, like it's up to you, but this is what we got, and this and that.
Oh my God.
And I got like all drawn into that because I wanted to know the rest of the story, right?
Of course.
So it's like, are you drawing people in with the clip? Like, is the clip open-ended enough where it's like, oh, I got to hear how they finish that conversation, or is it just
Right.
funny in that clip? Like, there's a lot of different things you could accomplish in the clip. Like, what are you trying to do with it? And I guess, I don't know because like we both make clips here for the different shows,
Right.
And I don't know if I'm always putting all that forethought into it. Like
Right.
sometimes I'm just like, this is just a good thought right here, and then so I'll grab that. But sometimes we go for the funny factor.
And the funny seems to sell the most because people are getting a laugh out of it. It's usually us saying something dumb or being incorrect
Yeah.
about something,
Absolutely.
showing
People
the
love
reality.
that stuff.
Yeah, because they can relate.
People just want to be silly and goofy.
Yeah, and have fun.
And everyone just wants to have fun at the end of the day.
That's what it comes
That's
down
what it's
to.
all about.
Unlock our inner kid again.
Yeah.
That's right. Hashtag FUN.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's have fun. Like
fun.
let's have some fun. so you could like, what you do is you take the first letter of the word,
Okay.
and then so like shit would be S hit,
Okay, yeah.
and you could just do all sentences like that.
Totally.
Really confuse people.
Totally.
I used to, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I used to really get under John's skin when we were doing Happy Friday Denver.
Yeah.
Because of the way I say certain words.
Yeah.
Bicycle being one of them.
That is so funny.
We
Yeah.
we miss his third dynamic though. We do
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's fun to have around and like.
And working with him,
Yeah.
and then you got us. Like, it was just such a unique
Yeah.
dynamic
Totally.
that the content was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Bicycle. That's so funny.
Bicycle.
When you guys were kids, did you speak in Pig Latin? Was
I
Pig
don't.
Latin a thing?
I forget how to do Pig Latin. It's like you take the last letter.
Ixnay or like something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how to do it.
You add a, like the sound a, to the end of the sentence, but you cut off the first, I think like the first letter or the first sound of the word, and you put it at the end. You know, I kind of forget.
It was like it
Well,
was
no, I
like
think I remember
complex.
this.
That's pretty complex.
Because like gum was like gay
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that was like a common Pig Latin one in school.
I'm gay.
Yeah.
Or soda was like, what would that be?
Oda say.
Yeah, something like
Oda
that.
say. Yeah.
And then people were communicating like that, like in full sentences.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this person saying? So no, I wasn't very good at it.
Yeah, it always went over my head, and I was always like, "This sounds like a whole nother language to me." And
It basically
difficult.
is.
Basically was, yeah.
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 Having a secret language. I think we did something like that, like in middle school or something. To
Yeah.
communicate. So like the grown-ups didn't know what we were saying.
But of
you
course
know.
they did. Of
They-
course they
yeah.
did. Yeah.
You always thought we were smarter than the grown-ups back then.
Of
As kids, like,
course.
oh, we got them beat. They're like, come on.
Yeah.
Saw you coming a mile away.
And like back in the day, I would be, because I'm 37 now, and I would be looking at like 37-year-olds and being like, wow, these people are adults. Yeah, and they must have their lives together and all this other
Right.
shit. And now that I'm like 37, I'm like, I feel more like a kid now than I did in my late teens.
Yep.
Kind
That's good, though.
of having like more fun with it
That's good. That's good.
Without drugs and alcohol.
without drugs and alcohol. Well, still marijuana.
Yeah.
But
I don't do much of that.
Yeah, I kind of cut out booze. It's like very rare where I drink booze anymore, and I feel way better.
That's great.
But there is like a sense of like you have extra energy, and it's like if you just sit there and watch TV or like you start snacking, like then you don't feel the greatest. Like you kind of feel like your energy gets lower. Anybody who does that too long, if you're like hanging out watching too much TV, like that's gonna affect anybody in that way. So it's like you got this extra energy. So then what do you do with it?
Yeah,
like
it's
how
gotta
do
go
you
somewhere.
spend this energy?
right.
Like what do you do with that?
What are you going to do?
Fitness. A lot of people get into writing, music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is you got to fill that void. I think everybody's addicted to something, whether that's overeating, caffeine, alcohol, drugs, sex, you name it, right? And I feel like when they're trying to eliminate something, you have to replace it with something else.
Right.
You know, otherwise that energy is just like it's not going
Sitting
anywhere.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to be interesting for me to figure out.
Yeah. You were saying that when's your birthday again?
June 7th.
June 7th. All right. So, got
Coming.
a couple months
Oh, it is
to
coming.
figure things out.
Yeah, like I said, I've already been pumping the brakes a bit. Feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Doing a show without drinking tonight, so
Yeah.
it's like convinced myself that I needed it to do the show. I don't need it.
Yeah. It's interesting, like changing up a habit when it just feels like, oh yeah, this is just what I do.
Yeah,
This is the normal thing.
becomes the norm, and the
Yeah.
norm can change
Exactly.
if you want it to.
Yeah.
That's
it's
the
hard,
thing.
but you can change the norm.
Yeah.
for
Hashtag
you.
change the norm.
And you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well,
yeah.
and last week, Kev didn't drink during Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Either.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I went all 3 shows this week without it.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Oh, you
So-
did MTG
Yeah.
without it too, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
That's
we're
okay.
gonna keep moving.
I like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Right on. So what's your replacement beverage? You just got a little water there?
Yeah. Normally I drink seltzers, but we don't have any, and I
Yeah.
don't really like the spark or the caffeine ones.
Yeah.
But like just seltzer water. I love
Yeah.
like lemon lime seltzers.
Yeah.
Because they're carbonated, so it tastes like, well, it doesn't taste like a beer, but you still getting that hand to
got
mouth
that
with
bite.
carbonation.
Yeah, that
it's got a
sensation.
little bit of that bite.
It's so
It
good.
like makes you hiccup after you chug it.
yeah.
yeah, like a beer
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
So that's an
totally.
easy substitute. Non-alc beers. Here's the thing: they're good. I like the taste. They're
Yeah.
expensive.
They are.
They're like more
They're
expensive,
more expensive
than normal beer.
Budweiser.
Yeah. I don't really care for non-alcoholic beer. Like it's fine,
Yeah.
but I typically will choose anything else.
Like for a non-alc spirit.
Yeah.
Or non-alc choice.
Yeah.
Because I also have like non-alcoholic bourbons and rums on the
Yeah,
market.
those
I
are
just-
those
what's
are
the
not.
point?
I don't know. I feel like I kind of like the non-alcoholic spirits. Super expensive,
Yeah, I
but I
sell
kind of
'em.
like them. The non-alcoholic wines, I like those because it's basically like it's kind of like
like
juice,
juice.
but it's not as sweet.
Right.
Okay.
It like still has a little bit more bite to it. But yeah, I mean, what's wrong with a little bubbly water? keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give a plug. Waterloo and Polar. Those
Sounds like me.
Those are my two favorite ones, and like
Nice.
I've been like kind of a connoisseur of these sparkling waters,
Waterloo's good.
and those are my
Yeah.
two favorites right
Oh my
now.
God, that's so funny that you bring that up because there's this reality show that I watch where it's Vanderpump Rules for those who know. This girl who's like about our age, she is sober and she's like, I'm becoming a water sommelier. And she
Yes.
has this
A water
event,
sommelier.
a water tasting event
Yes.
where they like taste different waters. And I was like, okay, I think we've taken it a little bit too far. I think
That's a
we
little
can
much.
pump the brakes on the fancy water. Like, I love fancy water as much as the next
yeah.
person, but I don't think we need water sommeliers. I think we can cool it.
Yeah,
You know?
because like, are we talking just H2O, or are we talking like flavored?
I don't know. The whole thing was so bizarre. It was like, this water comes from this place and this water comes from this
Yeah.
place. Like, I don't know if they were different flavors or what.
So I can elaborate on this a little bit.
All right, tell us
So-
more. Are you a water sommelier?
Do you have the info?
I've had the like I've never fulfilled the interest, but it's been
Okay.
there because thanks to Zac Efron, because he had this one episode about water
Okay.
and drinking water, and so our bodies obviously are like mainly made of water, and when we drink purified water, it actually like takes minerals out of our body. Because water should replenish our minerals.
Okay.
So that's when you drink out of like a spring, a natural water spring, that has all the minerals that come from the earth in that water naturally, right? So it's like different springs, different minerals, different taste. And so like there's this whole thing behind water, and that's why they like for city water and this stuff, like they have to put all these different things in it to try to make it so
Arsenic.
it doesn't deplete your minerals. So if you're like just drinking purified water all the time, it actually like depletes you a little bit because it's like absorbing the minerals out of your body opposed to putting them in. So I feel like there is like this whole valid like science behind
There is.
drinking specific types of waters.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And like I could see being a water sommelier, but like I wouldn't necessarily want to do that, but I would want to go fresh to like the spring. Like you like travel to like a country in Europe and like the Swiss Alps or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You like go to the
Fiji.
Alps and then you find like
Yeah.
the spring where the water
totally.
comes from, and you're like, like drinking it
Yeah.
from there.
That'd be
Yeah.
fun.
That'd
That
be
sounds like a
fun.
lot of fun.
Totally. I love, I mean, along those lines, I love hot springs, like
Okay.
natural hot springs.
yeah.
I love to go to a place that's just like, I mean, I just think that's so cool. It's such a cool thing in nature.
Yeah.
We have
It
like
is.
nature's hot tub
It is.
with a bunch
It
of
is.
minerals and stuff. That's so cool.
It is.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
the ones that are a little more isolated though. Like the Glenwood Springs is cool.
Yeah.
I like it, but like you're basically
Packed.
sitting in a big hot tub with
I was
everybody.
gonna say it's like you're kind of at the swimming pool, but
It's-
like
and
a
it's super
natural
packed.
hot, like one that's just like out up in the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
So cool.
Have you found one of those where you can just fit like you and your buddies or whatever?
Yeah. I have some friends who live near Glenwood Springs, and they have some cool spots.
Some hidden ones away. That's cool.
It's good to know
Yeah.
there's some locals up there.
Now, do you feel like if you were to frequent a hot springs
Yeah.
throughout your life,
Okay.
like you regularly go into a hot springs like once a week, do you feel like it's going to decrease aging? Like it's going to give your skin more longevity? Like, is there any
know.
studies on that? Like sitting in hot springs regularly,
I don't know, man.
or like just making a salt bath at home? Would that be equivalent?
I'm sure for some people, right? Like some
Maybe.
things work for some folks, and some people
Yeah.
age differently. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, unfortunately, we all do age.
Yes.
No matter what,
Yeah.
you can. Yeah, you might have good looking skin, but
Some better than others.
can't stop the train. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's a $1 billion market, right? Anti-aging
Totally.
products and
Yeah.
remedies and all this stuff. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's if it works for you. Have you ever done the vapor caves?
A vapor
no,
cave?
I have not
Cave?
done.
Yeah.
I haven't done that.
So
no.
there's some up in what is it? Is it Indian Hills? Not Indian Hills. What's that town where we go to St. Mary's?
Idaho Springs.
Yeah, Idaho Springs. It's
Okay.
up. There's vapor caves up there.
Okay.
Where like you literally go into these caves and it has like a hot spring.
haven't done that.
But it's like natural vapors and
that's
very
cool.
hot. It's like a natural sauna.
Oh, cool.
It's super cool. There's a lot of nudity in there though. So I would
Yeah.
advise a lot of people like to go in there in the nude, which whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's a really fun experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
vapor caves.
Vapor caves.
See, I've never done like a unisex nudity thing. Actually, I was a kid, and when I was in Sweden, they were a little more free out
They
there.
do
with
things
that.
a little different over there.
They do things a little
And,
different.
and I don't know if I've ever told this story on the pod, but when we were in Sweden when I was a kid, I was like early middle school, so maybe 12, 13 or something. I wasn't quite focused on women at that point in my life.
You were still wrapped up in yourself.
I was still wrapped up in like sugar cubes or whatever.
Pixie
like,
sticks.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
or-
Girls had cooties,
Yeah.
and you were all here for the pixie sticks.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah,
and swimming. So I like was in this pool hotel. I remember the hotel, the pool. It was like ground floor, and I was like, oh, the pool, and I went and jumped in, and my dad came down with me, right? And so I'm swimming, having a great time, blah blah blah. Years later pass. And I'm like a teenager now, like 18 or whatever. My dad's like, hey, so do you remember Sweden? Do you remember when we were there? And I was like, yeah, that was such a fun pool. He's like, you didn't notice who was there with us? And I'm like, no, Dad. And he's like, oh, there was like this whole group of women, and they were all topless, all just hanging out, having the best time.
and you just didn't even remember.
I didn't even notice.
Didn't even notice.
I didn't even
You
notice.
were too busy playing with your hand under the water.
Yeah, like I don't know.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I had no idea, but my dad
That's
dad
hilarious.
laughed about that story.
That's pretty European right there.
And I can just see
Yeah.
my dad being there like, oh,
Like,
but
what?
my son doesn't even notice this, but you know.
That's so cute.
That's funny. We were like 12.
But why? Yeah, I was like 12, 13.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
why is that? Like in Europe, like that's okay, and then like how come the food is like so much more
Better?
natural ingredients? Like what's going on? Like in the
question.
United States, like why are we like that?
You know, well, I think like back in like colonial times, the Puritan culture was like a big part of like establishing like the culture that we have now. So like that's a big part of it, I think, is like puritanical culture. That's why
As far as like the no nudity.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, totally. And then with the food being more natural, I think, well, one thing is that I think, you know, the United States geographically is just like a lot bigger than most of like countries in Europe. But I think it's just like a totally different food system. And like I think that our food system relies more on like packaged goods than like fresh produce and stuff like that. Which, like, you know, no shade to Doritos. We love ya, but you know, it is interesting the differences between the two.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you compare the ingredients, and it's vastly different. Like
Yeah.
Quaker oatmeal is like, you know, all these things you can't pronounce here in the States, and over there it's like oats, sugar, raspberries.
yeah.
You know, it's like what it should be, right?
Right.
When it's like, you know, an addiction, definitely. So
yeah.
there was when people were getting murdered over the Popeyes chicken sandwich or whatever.
Ridiculous.
Oh my God!
Remember
Whoa,
that?
I forgot about that. You
So-
just like unlocked something for me. I mean, I would.
Yeah.
I've never had a Popeyes chicken sandwich. I
Okay.
don't think I've ever been to Popeyes, but I like completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
People were going
It's a
crazy
Mandela effect.
over these chicken
Wow,
sandwiches.
Yeah, it really is.
I remember
So,
that.
so these are not no regular chicken sandwiches,
Right.
right? Like there has
Have you had one?
no.
Have
I
you
have
had
no.
one?
But there was this guy who did some research on the ingredients in that, and there was like 52 ingredients in that chicken sandwich in like the batter, and like out of those, like 40 of the ingredients were like man-made chemicals, and then they also tested the Chick-fil-A sandwich. Like everyone's always like, Chick-fil-A sandwich, that's the best Chick-fil-A sandwich, is the best chicken sandwich there is.
It's all right.
And there's like a bunch of chemicals in that, and most of them are man-made as well. So it's like you think about you're getting like addicted to these man-made chemicals. That's why people were getting like murdered over the chicken sandwich
I don't know about that. I
because
don't
they were all like
people were
they
not,
needed their
okay.
chicken fix.
Okay, I think that's a bit of a stretch. People were not like needing to get their chicken fix. I don't think they were having like withdrawals from the
They were
chicken,
having,
and
like,
that caused them to
fried
murder
chicken
people.
withdrawals.
That's a stretch.
I think it was more the whole limited time.
I think
Okay.
it was more of like
Okay.
a consumer sociology kind of thing. Yeah, like the limited time and like the hype. Like I think that's just so much more about like hype culture than it does about
Yeah.
like
I mean,
the
people
chemicals
were,
in
like-
the food. You
People
know,
were like waiting in line.
for hours.
Yeah, for the stores to open to
Yeah.
get these chicken sandwiches.
But
Yeah.
these are the same people that lined up for like 18 hours to go to In-N-Out
For like, yeah.
when it opened.
Oh my God. I remember when In-N-Out opened here in Colorado for the first time.
It was
and
chaos.
was like, I mean, and it, of course it was like a super, super long wait, hours long. And it would have been like faster to drive to the one in Salt Lake City than it would be to wait in line
At the
the
Denver.
one
Really?
here.
I think Aurora
remember
was
that.
the first one.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just to me, I don't get it. Like it's like the people that eat Tide Pods, or we're doing the NyQuil chicken. Remember when that was a thing? People
my
were cooking
God.
their chicken in NyQuil,
Crazy.
and it's like, oh, we got to try it because they're doing it on the TikTok.
Yeah.
People get amped up by what's going on. Social media pushes it, and that's the other thing now. Like if you open an In-N-Out here 20 years ago, yeah, people would be excited.
Yeah.
But I think with social media and everyone hyping it up and it's on the news and In-N-Out, everyone's like, I got to get involved.
Yeah,
I want to be a part of
totally.
this.
Especially like if you start to engage with that type of content, they're like, oh, you love In-N-Out content. And so then it's like, because you see it all the time, you think like, oh my God, this is what everybody is talking about all the time. It like becomes the thing that you think like, oh, this is like the world right now.
I mean, those burgers are legit.
They're all
Like,
right.
they're good. They're decently priced.
The price is what I'm going to give In-N-Out
I
an A+.
I
for.
think they're really good. But
Yeah,
their fries are slacking.
Here's the thing. I think that the thing that In-N-Out does really well is like they know what they're good at, and that's what they do.
And they keep it
They're
simple.
not trying to be everything for everybody. They're like, look, we make burgers, we make fries, we make shakes.
That's
and
it.
that's it. And
Simple.
I think that's really cool.
They have a good model for sure.
Yeah.
Eat in your car, eat inside. They give you like the little thing to eat in your car with.
Yeah.
Take it to go. The double fries and a drink's like $8-9.
Yeah.
You can't even go to McDonald's to get number one for that.
Oh my God. I was just talking about this with someone about how like fast food used to be like really like the dollar menu at McDonald's like used to be like really accessible and was like a way for people to like feed a family, right? If they like don't have any money. But now like I went to Burger King to get the Impossible Whopper because I was
Okay.
like, I want to try it, and I was on a road trip. So I got that and I got a side of fries. I don't even think I got a drink. And it was like $15.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I should have just gone to like Sweet Greens or some shit
Yeah.
for this.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. It's wild. Like fast food is not the like quick and cheap. It's not the cheap thing that it used to be.
Yeah.
It isn't.
And I feel like the quality dropped too. And
Quality's
it's more
definitely
expensive.
dropped. Yeah. The quality, the taste, more expensive. I would say the same about pizza. Pizza's gotten really expensive. Of course, I got pulled into the whole Dave Portnoy rabbit hole. You ever watch him review pizza?
You know, I have seen a couple of videos. Yeah.
Because he does like, he's the pizza guy. He goes
the
to all these
pizza guy.
spots, and I'm like, man, now I want to go try all these pizza places.
Yeah.
You want to be the pizza guy?
Well, I don't want to be Dave Portnoy because that's his role.
You want to be a pizza guy?
I'll be a pizza guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Pizza
other
reviewer.
pizza guy.
I'll be a pizza reviewer.
I'll watch your review.
Yeah, I'd watch it. I'd
Okay.
like, subscribe, all of that.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
see, maybe something just got born.
Ooh.
Kev reviews pizzas.
Here.
All right.
That'd be kind of fun.
Welcome to another 4 hours of working a week.
Yeah, and eating a lot of pizza.
Like, let's put another project on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But I mean, pizza is another example. Like, growing
Oh,
up
yeah.
in the '90s, remember when we'd go to Pizza Hut? Like, we had the old red building. And,
Oh, yeah.
they had like a salad.
Yeah, and they had like the mini arcade.
Yeah, like it was cool.
That was fun.
It was really easy to like. You'd be like, oh, we're having a bunch of people over for a sleepover. Let's order some pizza. And
Yes.
it was like easy and cheap.
You could feed 4 or 5 people.
Which one's the top pizza for delivery out of these three? So we
Okay.
got Pizza Hut,
Okay.
we got Domino's,
Okay.
and we got Papa John's.
We going quality?
We're just like, if which one are you gonna pick?
Papa John's.
You're going
out,
Papa
out of those
John's?
3, but I don't like chain pizza anymore.
No.
Yeah, I think if I'm going with those three, I'd go with Domino's probably.
What kind of pizza?
If I'm getting a pizza from just like a chain place, I'm just getting cheese. I'm just keeping it
that's the
simple.
move. I like
You know,
that move.
If I'm going to like, kind of a more artisanal pizza place, I'm
Like
gonna
Blue
get
Pan or something.
Yeah,
Mod.
I'm gonna get whatever like the cool, fancy, special pizza is.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But if I'm going to Papa John's, Domino's, what was the other one you said? Pizza
Pizza
Hut?
Hut. Yeah, see, I haven't even ordered Pizza Hut in years.
Greasy.
It's just been Domino's and Papa John's for me, but thin crust all day.
Yeah,
I do the
yeah.
thin crust.
I am a thin crust person myself.
Crispy. I like mine crispy.
Yeah,
I don't
me
like
too.
a lot of flop on it. Like when you hold the slice up, I don't want to see everything running off
Yeah,
of it.
I want
Yeah.
to see it stay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we all agree, no flop, good undercarriage.
absolutely.
Not too thick on the crust. Good crunch, good undercarriage. Yeah.
Yeah, I like a good crunch.
And I don't like it too soft. Like, I like it on the brink of being too saucy, but not too saucy.
Oh yeah.
There's one bar that I went into. It's what bar is that?
You about to give him bad review?
It's,
Shout them out. Let's tag them.
it's the one in Franktown, right off of Parker Road. The Stagecoach.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Stagecoach. So
They have a weird menu.
I went in there one time to like play bingo or something.
Yeah,
Nice.
Sunday night bingo.
And it was fun, but I went to go order the pizza, and the waiter guy, he was all like, "Order it with less sauce. Trust me." He like knew that the cook back there like
Was, like, dumping sauce
like
on
made
there?
it extra saucy.
Yeah.
And so I was like curious. I'm like, how saucy does this thing come out? So I was like, no, I'm just gonna order the pizza just as it comes,
as
like
an experiment.
Yeah. And this thing was like soaked in sauce.
Oh my
That's too much.
gosh.
And like so
So you regretted it. You
I
should
did.
have listened to him.
I should have listened.
But I understand you had to do it for science. You had to figure out. I would be curious
Like,
too.
how much
if
is
they
too
were
much
like,
sauce?
"There's gonna be so much sauce on this," I would do the same thing. I'd be like, "But how
Yeah.
saucy could it be?"
Yeah, how saucy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because like enough people had to have said, "Hey, there's too much sauce on this
Yeah.
thing, bud." Like you would
Yeah.
tweak the recipe a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
think
Yeah, but whoever was in charge of saucing that pizza said, "No, everyone else is wrong."
yes.
And I know how to make a pizza. Maybe they were classically trained and they were like, everyone here has just such a simple palate, and I am going to just sauce my pizza. Or maybe they just had a heavy hand.
Or
maybe every
maybe-
time they poured it, they were like,
Dumping
"Whoop,
it on there.
oops, oops."
I'm thinking
Maybe.
that they're the type of people that like to get their pizza and then they dip it in marinara.
Yeah.
Because you get those people, it's like basically you have marinara on the pizza
Yeah.
and then they also dip it in marinara.
Like the
Right.
crust or the pizza itself.
Like the whole thing.
The whole thing.
it's too much. Too much sauce.
I think that's too much for me. You know, I was thinking, this is so stupid, but I was eating pizza and breadsticks the other day, okay? And I
Great
had
combo.
Yum.
100%, couldn't agree more. And I had a side of marinara. And so I'm eating the pizza, which is, bread, cheese, marinara. I'm eating the cheese sticks, which is bread, cheese, marinara, but just kind of a different variety. It's like
Yeah.
a dip your own situation. And my friend was like, why do we have a pizza and cheese sticks when it's ultimately the same ingredients, just in a different combination?
Different shape.
And I couldn't really ansur that question. But
is a good
I
question.
still
But it's a
believe in
different
my
flavor
heart
profile,
it's
right?
different.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's not. Conceptually, it's not different, but it just tastes and feels
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, the texture of it. They're
Yeah.
usually a little bit thicker, like the breadsticks.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's a different type of dough as well.
You think so? You
different
think they
type of
use a
dough.
different type of dough? I bet they use
I
the
don't
same one.
I don't know. It might be
Yeah.
the same dough,
we
but
need
I
pizza.
don't
We
know.
need a pizza chef on this show.
We could
You guys
Portnoy
get
on
that
here.
lined up.
Yeah, we
Get,
get Portnoy.
get a pizza chef on the show.
Well, like, I mean, we could totally probably go into like a locally owned place and be like, "Hey, we're podcasters and
Yeah.
we want to
Review.
interview
Yeah.
a pizza." What would you call like top tier pizza makers? What would that title be?
Um,
Do you think?
a pizza chef?
A master pizza chef. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Master pizza chef.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like
probably.
that.
Okay.
See, and there's,
MPC.
there's
A
an
pizza artisan,
pizza artist.
Pizza artist.
an artist.
Artisan pizza chef.
Artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Now we're getting
We're
somewhere.
brainstorming here. There's a lot of them around Denver that I feel like are going to
Yeah.
claim the title though. They're like, we have the best
Absolutely.
pizza in Denver. There was that one guy off of Evans and I think it's Monaco over that way.
Yeah.
That Gordon Ramsay did. What was it? Kitchen Nightmares or one of those
Yeah.
programs and he went in there. He's like, this is shit pizza, and totally. I mean, it was a good episode. I've been wanting to try his pizza since Gordon turned it around.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it. He labels himself best pizza in Denver.
interesting.
Yeah, but it's like Neapolitan
curious.
Sicilian style. I don't really like Neapolitan style.
You don't? Okay.
No.
Isn't that is like a thin crust though? Is it not?
It's a thin crust, but it's
You know?
it's sauce heavy, and usually the
Okay.
crust on the back end's a little bit thicker.
okay.
Yeah.
Whereas I like the New Haven style. New Haven's
Oh, yeah.
is crispy cheese like we talked about, but it's crispy on top as well.
Yeah.
So you get a nice little crisp on that cheese.
Totally.
Man, all this
Yeah.
pizza talk, huh?
It's like they got drugs in it.
Oh yeah, that's how we got
And
onto
did you
this.
hear that people are killing each other over it? I'm just kidding.
Specifically, the pizza rolls at the sleepover parties.
Oh yeah, the Totinos.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Totino's, fuck me up. I
the thing.
love pizza rolls.
They're so good, but you gotta let them cool. And if you
Yeah.
have the
you
patience
have
to
to
do
let
that,
them cool.
if you have the patience to let pizza rolls cool, you have strength.
Yeah.
You have to like walk away and forget that they're there for a little bit.
Yeah, put
you
them in
know,
the fridge.
you gotta like do something else, like get a different activity to distract you, and then like a few minutes later you're like, oh yeah, I've got pizza rolls.
Yep, and then they're
Yeah.
ready. See,
Then
but
they're
here's the golden question: are you putting your pizza rolls in the microwave, or are you going in the oven?
Come on.
I know your answer.
Am I an animal? Of course I'm putting it in the oven.
Okay, at least we
Duh.
all
Or the
understand.
toaster oven.
But
if that makes
fair.
just a
sometimes you're
smaller amount.
impatient. I don't know why, but sometimes like the microwave texture
Yeah.
It's gooey.
is like good. Like I'm looking for that.
No, I want the
But
crisp.
not all the time, just sometimes.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to
like-
think of what's good in the microwave.
So
Is anything good?
sometimes you want to have a microwaved bagel with like, but you're making like a sandwich, so you have like melted cheese on it,
'Kay.
and then it like kind of like makes it like kind of harder to rip up. It like turns the bagel into a different type of texture.
Never put a bagel in the microwave
I
in
don't
my
know that
life.
I've ever put a bagel in
Bagel
the microwave
bites.
either.
Come on, you guys haven't had bagel
Okay,
bites?
yeah, but I put my bagel bites
In the toaster oven.
But you've never done it in the
No,
microwave.
absolutely not.
So
Maybe
it's
I
like
have.
it
maybe
changes
I
the
haven't.
texture though. It really
Yeah.
does.
That's like
It
reheat
does.
pizza in the microwave. It can be
Yeah.
done, especially if you've had a few and you just want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But like
course.
reheated pizza in the toaster oven, get a little bit more crisp
Oh
on
my
there.
god, it's like
It's always better
You add like
that way.
you add just a couple extra minutes, and you've got yourself a meal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this ain't just a snack I put in the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
have prepared this. It's nice and crispy.
Yeah,
Give me the crisp.
Even like just a normal quesadilla, like
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you know, you put that in the microwave.
It's all soggy.
Like yeah, it just doesn't come out the same. Same quesadilla, same ingredients.
Yep.
You put it in the oven and
Yep.
and bake
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like it tastes
It just
way better.
tastes better.
Yeah, if
to me.
you drag your knife across it and it's not making that sound,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
true.
it's not done right.
True.
absolutely.
So, do we think that when we microwave food, that it like zaps out the nutrition and the food?
No.
you don't think that's the
No,
thing?
I don't think that it zaps
It- it
out
like-
the
it like-
nutrients.
It like makes the nutrients disappear.
They go, oh, I'm scared. Oh no, I'm zapped. No, it's the same. It just is like a different texture. I'm sure that there's people. I know that there's people that are like, oh my god, no, it's like gonna give you cancer and stuff. And like,
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not a food scientist.
My mom
but,
used to tell me that. She's like, if you microwave food,
Zap the nutrition.
then
out.
it's less nutritious than if you like cook
That's
it the other way.
not true.
That's pretty funny,
that
though.
Can't be true.
I don't know. I
so-
don't know.
I don't know. All due respect to your mom, but that
Yeah.
can't be true.
Yeah. Or maybe it was my dad. Maybe it was like
Yeah.
maybe the indoctrination of the early indoctrination of the microwave and like the propaganda behind not
Yeah.
using it in the oven
There's
companies.
a lot of people that believe microwaves are bad, like our buddy Josh being
Yeah.
one
Oh,
of them.
totally.
He won't do it. But you think about what a microwave is. It's a water molecule accelerator.
Yeah.
Right? So the water molecules get excited and they start moving, which generate heat.
Okay.
Right? That's essentially what it does.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, it's radiating the food and all this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe, the old school, like the 1970 ones,
Huh.
Yeah.
when they first came out, probably weren't as advanced as GE has now.
Yeah.
But back to the original question, I mean, is there anything that's good in the microwave other than like popcorn? Microwavable popcorn. And
Yeah.
even that's not that good.
I think there are times when I really love microwavable popcorn.
Uh-huh.
It is one of my favorite snacks.
easy.
But I also
Yes.
like popcorn
Kettle
on the
corn
stove.
or like what kind
Usually just
Home
like kind of the
style.
classic
of? Okay.
home style.
Homestyle's the way.
Now,
Yeah.
do you put your own salt on it too? Do you like salt it
If
yourself?
I'm doing it on the stove, if I'm like just making popcorn on the stovetop,
Mm-hmm.
then yes. I put nutritional yeast flakes on. It's freaking good.
Okay.
But if I'm just doing regular old microwave popcorn, then I'll just do it, as is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's one thing I like in the microwave. I think that if I'm warming up, if I'm warming up like a microwave meal that's designed for the microwave, then yeah, I'm gonna use the microwave.
That
I'm
makes
not
sense.
gonna make a microwave meal take like 25 minutes
in the oven, yeah.
when it's just made for the microwave.
yeah.
Yeah, to put
Just
it in for
easier
3-4
to
minutes.
do it
Or
that
like
way.
reheating up like your Thanksgiving leftovers for round 2.
Yeah,
I'll do that. I'll make a plate, throw it in.
yeah, totally.
But just don't put the cranberry sauce in yet. You don't want warm cranberry sauce.
I don't think you do. No.
No, that's not a good move.
Yeah, just like, if you're reheating that hamburger or something, you take the pickles off.
You gotta
Yeah,
take
warm
and
pickles.
the lettuce.
Yeah.
Ooh, warm lettuce?
When you
Yeah.
accidentally put lettuce in the
Yeah,
in
no,
the
that's-
microwave.
that's
When you
gross.
got like a leftover taco bowl and there's like a couple stray pieces of lettuce
Yeah.
and you put it in the microwave by accident, you take it out and you're like,
Why is it so gross?
It zapped it to
It
oblivion.
is gross.
Yeah, that did zap the nutrients out. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
The lettuce,
Okay,
yes.
so
Yeah.
how about this one then? Okay, so
Okay.
I have more food question.
All right.
So
I'm sure I will not be able to give you a real answer.
So I've heard that frozen vegetables, like you go buy a pack of frozen vegetables, that's going to have more nutrients in it than fresh produce.
How?
And the reason behind this is they freeze it immediately.
Right.
So then it traps all of the nutrients right when it's freshly picked, opposed to the fresh produce that is traveled at refrigerated temperatures, like nutrients is leaving the entire time. It's not frozen and locked in there.
It's interesting.
Thoughts?
I think honestly, whatever works best for people that makes it easiest for them to eat food. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Nutrients don't matter.
The difference between a frozen produce and fresh produce, the difference between like nutrients is not going to be enough to be like, wow, now you're gonna feel like shit when you eat that carrot compared to if you eat it frozen. Know what I'm saying?
But what if I went and ate a frozen carrot and then my vision was like 20/20, opposed to eating like a normal produce carrot and then my vision's like 17/20?
Oh my God! Well, if that was the case, then I would certainly say there is a difference, but that's not true.
Yeah, these what if scenarios are 17/20. What kind of vision is that?
I don't know. So have you guys heard that like carrots don't actually make your vision better? That was propaganda.
I have
believe
heard
it.
that actually.
So was the
that
Got
it was
Milk
like,
thing.
Oh my God, the Got Milk campaign is so fascinating. I actually did I went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole.
Oh, that's fun.
About Got Milk.
Okay.
Basically, it was the dairy industry being like, oh shit, people aren't drinking milk like they used to.
Okay.
And so they created this whole campaign around Got Milk, and got every celebrity to do it, blah, blah, blah. And it actually didn't make anyone drink more milk. All it did was people who already drank milk continued to drink milk, but it actually made no difference.
Didn't recruit new milk drinkers.
No, if people weren't drinking milk, they weren't drinking milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, despite the just an absolutely fucking insane ad campaign. There are some Got Milk commercials that were you're gonna.
Risque.
They were crazy.
Yeah. Crazy propaganda.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole vitamin D thing, there's vitamin D in milk. We know that.
Sure.
But, we get more of it from the sun and other parts of our diet than just cow's milk.
Right.
And it's if we're calling a spade here, cow's milk used to be back in the day, the milkman would come. It wasn't homogenized. It wasn't pasteurized.
Yeah.
You'd have the fat sitting on the top. Right. Delicious. I understand we got to homogenize it and pasteurize it now.
Yeah.
But when I first got in the dairy business back in 2004, milk would last for about 10 days on the shelf, give or take, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. They're like Fairlife and some of these milk companies now. Go to Kroger and look at their Kroger whole milk and look at that expiration date. That sucker is going to be in August.
What?
That's crazy.
I'm serious.
No way.
Yeah, we had a guest on a few weeks ago or a few months ago, and I told her the same thing, and she went home and looked. She's like,
oh my
it's good
God.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
concerning. So it's
wild.
what is going on with this thing? You can only pasteurize it so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because pasteurization, you're just heating it up.
Right.
Right, to kill off bacteria. Same with our eggs are pasteurized now, and that's why people say you can eat them raw or whatever. And homogenizing is when you spin the fat through the milk.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the two processes. But it's how did we go from a 10-day shelf life to 6 months? What the hell's in it?
6 months, yeah,
What's
that's
in
wild.
it?
I don't know.
That's concerning.
I don't know.
So I heard that
I can't wait to see where this is going.
I heard that milk doesn't actually give us calcium.
That's part of the Got Milk thing.
You never heard any of this shit, Molly?
No, I've heard people be like, oh yeah, milk doesn't have as much calcium as it was positioned to have. You can get just as much calcium from all of these other different kinds of milks and blah blah blah. But I've never heard anyone be like, it doesn't actually have calcium.
Yeah, they say drink milk will give you strong bones.
Strong bones.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That was the Got
I think
Milk thing.
that's actually bullshit.
Is that
yeah.
just how carrots give you good vision and stuff?
Yeah.
What
and
is,
it's
what is this?
if you if you like eating carrots, eat carrots.
Now,
That's
how about
fine.
carrot cakes? I feel like that's a
yeah.
sin. Do you like
I
that?
love carrot
Carrot
cake.
cake's
Really?
delicious.
Carrot
Really?
cake's delicious.
And I'm not a big sweet guy.
Really?
I love carrot cake. I love having that carrot texture in a cake, like that shredded carrot, like a little bit
Delicious.
crunchy. And I love the combination of spices. I love a cream cheese frosting.
Okay, see,
I love carrot cake.
If it's not cream cheese frosting, I don't want it. Like, it's like too thick sometimes. But
Yeah.
the cream cheese frosting.
Oh yeah.
So how do we all feel
thick.
about cheesecakes? Like,
So
okay,
rich.
so if you're going cheesecake versus like a brownie,
I would choose brownie. Probably.
You're going brownie?
Yeah.
It depends on what cheesecake it is, because some are just too much.
True. Yeah, it really does depend. If it's like a nice homemade cheesecake with some whipped cream and
Oh, yeah.
strawberries,
Damn,
yum.
that's good.
But if it's, I don't know, I think that like pretty much any brownie that you make out of like a mix is really good.
Okay.
Like brownies are harder to fuck up.
yeah.
I think that it's harder to make a good cheesecake.
Okay.
I
You
would
know what
agree
I'm
with
saying?
that. Yeah.
The
you-
brownies is like pretty much like you can't go wrong.
That's true. I mean,
my opinion.
the only mistake I've seen like commonly made is like when someone confuses baking soda with like
Flour?
baking powder.
Right, yeah.
Or something like that. Like they get those two mixed up, and you're like, "What's different about this damn brownie or this cookie?" It's like this thing tastes salty.
Right, yeah.
Like I think we fucked the recipe up here, guys.
Right, exactly.
But
yeah.
what are you taking, Art?
I mean, I do like carrot cakes are they're pretty good, but like I don't know. I think I'm kind of confused about carrot cakes sometimes.
Okay.
Because they're not really hitting like that like chocolate or vanilla lovers like button. It's like a different type of sweet.
Yeah, it's another option.
another
It's
option.
like drinking like a ginger beer, like a Moscow Mule or something.
Compared to like beer or wine.
Yeah. It's not like your typical.
Those were popular for a moment.
Moscow Mules?
They
what
got
happened
really
to
hot.
Moscow Mules? Those were like
It was a rise and demise.
the thing.
Yeah,
And now
I would agree.
I don't really see them that much. They used to be freaking everywhere.
They were the hottest drink on the
Did
market.
you know that the Moscow Mule cups?
They don't have
tin.
any calcium. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
They're
they're
not from
not. They're not
Moscow?
real. They're not real copper.
And they're not from
They just
Moscow.
have like a copper coating on the outside, and they're actually tin cups.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
I didn't really care for the beverage.
Really?
I'm not gonna say I didn't it tasted bad. I'd rather have something else.
You were
Yeah.
like enough with this trend.
Yeah, I
don't
tasted
need-
it.
I
don't
still think they're good, but it has to be like
They're refreshing.
a vodka one. Like
Yeah.
I don't like the whiskey, the dark mule.
I haven't
Yeah.
had that.
Like the whiskey, it just doesn't taste as good.
Yeah, it was just like.
And
You
they, like,
think
do
they
a
got too
tequila one?
fancy with it?
Yeah, like they got like too experimental.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
it was such a hot commodity that everybody was trying the next big thing with it.
Right.
How
yeah.
can we take this thing to the next level? Now it's like I think the big thing that's trending in the market now is definitely pre-mixed cocktails, like ready to drinks, RTDs.
Yep.
Seltzers are still crushing it. Like White Claw
Oh,
paved the
yeah.
way.
Big
But now
time.
there's Sunny D seltzers, there's Arizona iced tea seltzers.
Yeah.
All these things that we had as like kids are coming in as adult beverages now,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
interesting.
They're
it's
trying to get us.
wild. And honestly, like it is kind of confusing. Like there have been a lot of times. So I don't drink, and there have been a lot of times where I've like reached for a beverage that I thought was just a regular beverage, and I'm like, oh, they make this. This is an alcoholic drink. They make this in an alcoholic drink.
Yeah, you gotta
like,
be careful.
I was at a store. I was like running some errands, and there's a store right next to the place where I get my dog's food. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk around. It was like a women's clothing store, and I was the only person in there. And the woman who was working there was like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, do you want a Topo Chico?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great. I love Topo Chico." As we were talking about before, that carbonation is nice.
good.
So, so she like hands it to me, and like as I like open it and I go to drink it, I realize, holy shit,
You
this
can
is
smell
Topo
it.
Chico hard seltzer. Didn't even know that they made it until that moment. But I didn't want to be rude because I had just been so enthusiastic. I was like, yeah, I want a Topo Chico. I love it. But then and I was like, oh my God. And then I didn't want to like be rude, so I went I went into the bathroom and I poured out like about half of it because I didn't want her to think like, oh, she like chugged the whole thing, but I also didn't want her to think like, oh, she just like didn't drink any. So I went and I like poured some out, and then I just like left it awkwardly on. I like walked around. I like did a couple laps around the store, and then I just left it awkwardly like on the table, like thanks for the Topo Chico. But I was really, if someone said to you, oh, do you want a Topo Chico, would you assume Topo Chico hard seltzer, or would you assume Topo Chico regular?
I would assume regular, unless
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it's a hard,
Yeah.
It's like if somebody asked if I wanted like a LaCroix, like I'd
Right.
be like,
Do they make alcoholic?
I don't
think they
It's
do.
just a matter of
see.
time,
They
you
will.
know? They
Yeah.
will. They will.
And honestly, LaCroix, you ain't got shit on Polar and Waterloo. I'm sorry. Like LaCroix got one good flavor, and that's the like the lemon.
The limonada.
No, the pamplemousse is good too.
Is it?
Yeah, that's grapefruit.
I still like LaCroix.
Really?
LaCroix's kind of paved the way for these other big guys.
They really
Yeah.
did. My dad was drinking LaCroix he's been drinking LaCroix for like 25 years.
Which
at
one?
least.
Which one does he drink?
The lime.
Okay, so
Lime.
that's like
Yeah.
the classic
Classic.
flavor.
A
If you're
classic
fucking up the
flavor.
lime flavor, like what's wrong with that?
Then they have the key lime
Absolutely.
one. Have you tried that one? That's got a
I
little,
have,
like a little
yeah.
sweeter.
It's like a little bit sweeter. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good. I'm really not too picky when it comes to sparkly waters. I
Yeah.
pretty much like them all.
They're
There's-
generally in the same neighborhood. you
Yeah,
know?
totally.
But yeah, the adult beverages is concerning because kids, they're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
a Arizona iced tea.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or a Sunny D.
and
Come
then,
Sunny D
on.
and like the
vodka seltzer?
packaging looks the same as like the normal. It like says alcohol somewhere on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that when you got kids trying to reach in for like juice or whatever. Because
Totally.
when we were growing up, it was smeared off ice had just hit the market.
Yep.
And then the Zima shit.
Zima was big,
Yeah.
but you could kind of tell that it was an alcoholic beverage. And then you had Mike's Hard Lemonade and Twisted Tea. Like those were the
And
big ones.
Four Loko.
Oh yeah, then Four Loko came out, which is probably the worst of all of them, frankly.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, that's like drinking battery acid. Not that I have experience in that.
Right,
but,
yeah, but you feel like you have.
Oh, it's
because
horrible.
yeah,
you ever had
totally.
a Four Loko? You had to have.
I haven't had car oil.
I haven't either.
I thought that was initiation that you had to do.
Oh yeah, I did have to drink car oil. Yeah.
See?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's all talking about he hasn't drinking
Yeah.
like this kind of stuff.
But it was in a Mountain Dew.
yeah,
It was mixed in a Mountain Dew back when we were gearheads.
Yeah, for sure.
Had to drink a cat full of motor
but
oil.
like I don't know, like all those malt liquors. Like I used to think it was cool. Like oh yeah, let me get some 40s. We're gonna be sipping around, sitting, and then I'll be like, my
Oldies.
friends will be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just drinking 40s." like
Yeah.
that was cool or
Yeah.
something. Like I felt
Yeah.
cool doing that.
I never got into the 40s.
Yeah.
There's always a trendy thing, like with with anything, but like I think especially in the beverage industry. Like I'm interested to see if seltzers will continue to hold their place in the market or if it's going to be the next Moscow Mule,
Yeah, it's hard to say because I work in the industry in
Yeah.
wine and spirits now. So like seeing what's trending is ready to drink cocktails.
Yeah,
And
totally.
seltzers can kind of fall in that category a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say it's a different category or kind of the same?
It's in the beer category because it completely pulled from the
Got
beer
it.
because it's right next to beer
Right.
in most like grocery stores.
When it's like advertised as like you don't have as many carbs and stuff, but
Right.
then you end up having all this sugar in it,
Yep.
and that's the thing about like they don't have the sugar percentages on those cans. Like they don't actually tell you how much sugar is in there.
yeah, the nutritional facts.
Yeah, it's like not there. Like how come alcohol doesn't have to provide that information, but like everything else does?
I mean,
Like I why
Bud
is
Light's
that?
got it on there. Bud Light will tell you their breakdown on the back. Remember where we had those boxes stacked up and had all the
Yeah.
nutritional facts on it?
Yeah, but I don't feel like the seltzers are
I
telling
don't
me
think the
like
seltzers
how
do.
much like sugar is in there because there's
yeah,
no
I'd
way
be
that like
curious to see. Next time I go to the grocery store, I'm gonna check that out because I wonder. I know that like the like FDA requirements and like it all comes back to like food legislation, like the nutritional facts that are required to be on boxes and like even the numbers of like the way that they come up with the daily total calories and like all that kind of stuff. It all comes back to like legislation and how they've required food companies to label their stuff, and a lot of it is like not really backed by like good science.
Right.
But even like the size and like the fonts of the different things, like those are all because of like the way that it's required by law. So I just wonder if like if like alcoholic beverages are not subject to the same laws and requirements.
I don't
I'm
believe they
gonna look
are.
it in. Yeah,
because
yeah.
I work with a lot of small companies that are just getting their product to market.
Yeah, totally.
And they just like Aspen vodka or something
Yeah.
like that. That's all it says on it.
Yeah.
And a barcode on the back. So it's like I think there is a loophole there.
Yeah. Which honestly, like, I don't think that's that bad. I mean, if you want to know, like, I think, like, everyone should have, the right to know, like, what kind of ingredients are in whatever,
probably
especially if you
find
have,
it
like,
online maybe.
if you have, like, allergies and stuff like that, of course you want to know, like, what's in your stuff. But, like, I don't know. I don't know that it's really going to be, like, helpful for people's health if they had like, this is the number of like, this is the number of carbs and like the different like nutritional markers, like the different things in it. I don't know that.
So
It's
for
almost
drinking,
irrelevant information.
I think that it kind of is for beverages. Like people, there was really like that thing in the, I think it was mostly like in the 90s, like 90s diet culture. They were like,
Fat-free.
Juice is so bad for you. Don't drink juice because it's just sugar and it's going to make you crazy. And everything was fat-free.
Everything was fat-free in the
Everything.
90s.
Yeah. And now like, you know, there's always like in the diet industry, there's always like a trend too. It's like, oh no, now we're going to avoid this thing.
Yep.
Oh, now we're going to avoid this thing. Actually, that thing's good for you. So now you can eat this thing.
It's a
And
business.
it's like, yeah, it's a business just like anything else. So I don't know. I don't know that people are like in that same mindset maybe that we were in the 90s when they were like, sugar in your drinks is going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I mean, the 90s was big with fat-free. Everyone saw
Yeah,
the
it
word
was
fat and they're like,
crazy.
that's all they were looking at. Does that have fat in it?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to eat this,
Yep.
cookies and gummy bears and all this shit that was loaded with carbs and sugars. And then that prompted the, the stevia and like equal
that's
sweet,
gross.
sweet and low.
Yeah.
Everyone started going that route. These fake sugars, which is like causing Alzheimer's and things of that nature and other medical issues, which I'm not an expert in any of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, it's causing problems, these artificial sweeteners, that the body would just process natural sugar much easier than these fake sugars,
Yeah.
I feel like we're more likely to see nutritional facts on like the canned seltzers, the alcoholic seltzers, but it's like the bottle of vodka that's like orange sherbet vodka or something like that. Like you don't see the sugar on that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
And then-
but I mean, if you are an adult and you look at a bottle, you basically know
You
the
should
ones
know.
that are gonna have like that are
Yeah.
gonna be super super sweet
like a
because
Mike's
they
Hard.
look like they're being marketed to a kid.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you see something with like a dragon fruit on it or like something that's
Cotton
just like,
candy something.
oh yeah, like you know that shit's gonna be super sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, Truly went into the vodka market. Remember the Truly
Yeah,
seltzers?
yeah.
So now they have Truly vodkas, which
Really?
are so sweet.
Oh my god! Wow.
Pure sugar. So like the 3 big Truly flavors, whatever those were, pineapple and this and that. It's just pure sugar vodka. That's all. It's like syrup and vodka.
But like so like sugar can no alcohol converts to like sugar as you process it.
Glucose, yeah.
And then you have like the extra sugar on top. Like it just seems like it's like so much.
It's a lot of
don't
sugar.
know.
Like so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're having a cocktail, I don't think it's terrible. It's if you're drinking a 12-pack of seltzers or a 12-pack of beer in that instance, yeah, you're getting all those carbs and sugars.
Yeah, but everybody's different, you know.
That's true.
Everybody is
Everybody's
different.
different.
That's very
That is
true.
true.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So I started cutting out like added sugars. Like I'll still eat things with sugar, but then there's like added sugar in there too. And if you like when I started cutting that stuff out, and then I would eat something that had a lot of added sugar in it, it just wouldn't taste as good. Like
It's
and like
interesting
normally.
how like your palate changes when you like are exposed to different kinds of foods. Like it's like, there's no like moral thing to it. It's not like good nor bad, but
Yeah.
like when you stop or like if you have to like cut out something because you have an allergy or like you're traveling to a different place and you eat a different type of food than you normally would or whatever, or you like get really into, you're like, oh my god, I freaking love pasta, and you like are making pasta all the time and you like, and there's like another food that you're not eating, it like it's fascinating how it changes your palate and like things just taste different, bodies and minds, taste buds,
Like
freaking trip.
They do change
it's
a lot.
evolving.
Yeah. They really are. 'Cause some people have an acquired taste for like beer, for example, and other people like it's the
Totally.
most disgusting thing I ever
Or like
tasted.
they don't like black
Yeah.
coffee or something.
Or
Yeah.
coffee is a good example. Some people think that's gross unless they dump a pound of sugar in it.
Yeah,
Gross.
totally.
That's
and then
gross.
some people, when they dump a pound of sugar in it, then they're like, oh, this is too sweet.
Yeah.
But if you like only had coffee with like a bunch of sugar in it, and then you had black coffee for the first time, you'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I think I can speak for myself. When I first got into drinking coffee, it was sugary.
Sure.
Hazelnut lattes. And,
Oh, yeah.
because like as a kid, I didn't really like the taste, so it was a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, as I got older, I don't drink coffee anymore. I cut it out. I don't really do caffeine anymore.
Wow. Oh
Which
my
is
God.
interesting.
I feel like maybe we talked about this the last time that I was here about how you were not really doing caffeine.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I just don't.
Good for you.
Yeah, I just don't crave it. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. Like, I like the taste of coffee. I love the smell of it.
Sure.
You know, and I'll still have an occasional cup here and there. Like, if I have a visitor and I make
Yeah.
a carafe, I'll have a little cup, but I never finish it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
just not
so
my jam.
interesting. And you're not a decaf coffee guy?
No, I never have been.
Yeah.
I'd rather drink. See, that's like comparable to non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, why
What's
would
the,
I?
what's the point? But it's like, if you
But-
like the taste,
Yeah, so but you would have a non-alcoholic
Oh,
beer.
absolutely.
So you would have non-alcoholic beer over a decaf coffee.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like tea. If I'm going to go hot beverage, I'm going tea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. What
Chamomile.
about you? What's your hot beverage of choice?
Hot beverage of choice is gonna be coffee,
Okay.
and then I like at the end of the day having like a glass of sleepy time tea,
Good stuff.
the chamomile tea with some honey in it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Love that.
and my mom used to put just a little bit of milk in there
Aw.
growing up.
Cute.
I haven't done that in a while.
A little
but
milk, yeah.
Yeah, but that was always like, oh, it's comfy bedtime when you have
Yeah.
your sleepy time with the milk in it.
That's cool.
What are you going with, Molly? Hot bev.
I'm a coffee person. Yeah. I like hot coffee.
Do you
that's
like
my thing.
espresso?
You know, not so much. Like if I like need to just like pound some coffee and go, then like yeah, I'll take a shot of espresso. But usually just like regular cup of coffee. If I'm having an espresso drink, usually I'll have a latte or an Americano. But yeah, hardly ever just like an espresso shot by itself.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And
It
that's another
is.
big thing that's in the market right now is espresso martinis are really, really
Oh
taking
my
off.
gosh, yeah.
Which is like, it's kind of like when the whole Red Bull vodka thing was going on. You're getting an upper and a downer.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. I feel like espresso martinis are having like a renaissance. I
They're-
see them
and
everywhere.
They're the new Moscow Mule.
And what's
yes,
what's
oh my
silly
god,
about
that's
that?
so true.
It is.
Yeah, and what's silly about that is I went to this like, higher priced restaurant. Like when you're paying over $20 a plate, like that's like a little bit more expensive, right? And so they got all these espresso martinis and stuff, and I'm not drinking at this time. I'm not drinking booze. So I'm like, yeah, just, pour me a cup of coffee. And this
not the
trendy place, they didn't even have drip coffee for me to enjoy this meal with, but they had all these espresso
That's
martinis
because
and all
it's
this
different.
all this other
different.
stuff, but it's like, I
different.
can't
You don't
even just
put
get
drip
coffee.
You don't
You
put
know?
drip coffee in an espresso martini. Then it would just be called a drip coffee martini.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
when
it's not the same thing.
when the espresso martini or whatever
Wait,
is
do you
like
say it like espresso?
espresso.
I was getting ready to call him out
That
on
this
it.
is a bicycle
Expre-
situation. This is
espresso.
a
it's like a liqueur.
There's no
It's like
X
a
in it.
liqueur.
There's no X in it.
Espresso?
Yeah.
yeah. It's just ES.
ESP.
Espresso?
Espresso. It's not X. There's no X. I'm glad you beat me to it. I was waiting for the
Espresso.
right moment.
At first, I thought maybe I wasn't hearing it correctly. I was like, oh, but then after you said it
Espresso.
a couple times, I was like, you're saying espresso.
Yeah, I've always said espresso.
Do you think that it's
just
spelled
like-
EX?
There's no X.
No.
P?
Uh-uh.
You knew that it was spelled ESPR,
Yeah.
but you thought that there was an X sound in there.
We all like to criticize how we say words on this show.
Listen,
What was the other one? Wheelbarrow?
Yeah, I was calling you a
He was calling
wheelbarrow.
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 It's a wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow. Listen, there's plenty of words that I say
Yeah.
wrong too. We'll catch them.
Most of
As
mine.
long as people like understand what I'm trying to talk about, like
Yeah.
that's the main goal.
Sure, yeah,
know?
as long as you
Fair.
can get the message across. But
Yeah, I think we get it.
yeah,
Even if you say
Espresso.
wheelbarrow.
So it's not an exclamation. I used to call it an explanation point.
see, you just
An
gotta
explanation
take what
point?
you
Gung-ho.
what you added to espresso,
Uh-huh.
subtract that, add it to exclamation.
Yeah.
because you said it. How
Explanation point.
explanation point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not explaining anything.
It's
exclaiming. It's
explaining it, but it might also
Yeah.
be explaining it. It's not necessarily.
But if I was in a explanation point, you're gonna understand what I'm saying.
I mean, if you were to say that, talk to text, I think it would work.
It would work. It would
It
put
would
it in
probably
there.
autocorrect
You
to
think it-
exclamation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like
That's
actually it,
interesting.
it like spells it out instead of actually doing explanation.
Are
I
you
can't even say it now. I can't even say it.
Are you a talk to texter?
Not really, and I
So-
don't know why I'm not. Like, it is so much faster.
I used to think it was silly.
to like talk to text, but like for some reason I like don't feel like I'm in control of it if I'm like talking to text. I'm like, oh, I gotta proofread.
You definitely got
this.
to
Yeah.
proofread it because I've sent it a few times. I'm like, what the hell did I just say?
Yeah.
It wasn't even close to the message I was trying to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
deliver. But I used to think it was silly. I'm like, if I'm going to talk into this thing, why don't I just call the person?
Yeah,
But
that's true.
now like if I'm trying to read out something or like make a list, I just hit the button and boom boom comma boom boom, and it typically with a proofread, I think saves a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I'll send a voice note.
Those are fun.
Those are fun. Yeah, it's like a walkie-talkie.
It is like a walkie-talkie.
It's fun.
Remember
I
when,
like it.
Was it Nextel or Boost that
Yeah,
they had
Nextel.
They did like
Sure.
the walkie-talkie thing.
Yeah. I think that voice memos are really fun because, one might make the argument, oh, why don't you just call the person? Well, sometimes you're like kind of in the middle of something. You don't have like a full 10 minutes to like, dedicate to the back and forth of the conversation, but you might have 2 minutes to record a voice memo, and then you can listen to their response in like 15 minutes,
That's a good point.
Typically, I think it works best if you're like downloading some tea or some gossip and you're like, okay, here's what happened,
Okay.
and then you like.
When did
leave the
this
voice
whole
memo.
spill the tea, let me sip the tea, this came out 2 or 3 years ago, the
No,
whole
probably
the
like
tea talk?
6 or 7 years ago.
The tea talk?
I remember the
Okay.
Kermit the Frog meme was the first where he's like sipping on it or whatever.
okay.
And it was like
Okay.
That's remember the first time I heard about it, but like
For tea talk.
for tea talk.
Yeah, I think that it's been. I heard it for the first time probably like 6 or 7 years ago.
So spilling the tea is like give me the goods.
Give
Give me the
goods.
juice.
Yeah. It's
what's the
you're
juice?
you're giving the juice.
Give me the juice.
Yep, exactly.
I like it. Tea talk is fun, and everybody always likes to know what's going on. The drama, right?
Absolutely.
People
Yeah.
want the juice.
A little bit of the drama. And it's because the mistakes are what people relate to,
That's true.
because everyone makes mistakes in their life.
Yep.
That's why we love watching blooper reels.
Yes.
So,
Oh my God, yeah.
anytime we have a blooper,
blooper reels.
We send them.
Yes.
Because Happy Friday's pretty scripted, so if we fuck up like the beginning, the intro or something,
Yeah.
it's hilarious, and we'll just put it on there, and people laugh at us.
Yeah,
It's a win-win.
Like we were saying earlier, people like stuff that's just goofy and stupid.
Yep. Let's get back
People
to that.
just want to have fun. I just want to have fun.
Isn't that what's that old song? Girls, they just want to have fun.
Girls just want to have fun.
Who was that? Was that?
It was Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's the point.
Yes.
Keep it fun. Keep
the
it
song
simple.
is still true.
It's a great song.
It's still true.
They just want to have fun.
It's pretty simple.
It's very simple.
It's simple. It's
it's called- it's
straightforward. It's,
F-fun.
truth.
It's
It's F on.
Hashtag
F1.
FUN.
Well, we're super excited
That flew
that
by,
we got
jeez.
that we had to get you back on.
Yeah,
you're an
this was a
amazing
blast.
conversationalist.
Oh, thanks,
So
Matt.
happy that you have your awesome show, and congratulations on going video.
Thank
Because that is a
That's
huge
awesome.
step,
It's been really fun.
and it's a whole new dynamic to
Totally.
the show
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys having me. Always fun catching up on mic. So glad that I got a chance to come back. Thanks. And your studio is awesome.
Thank you.
Feeling comfy, cozy. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and quiet. Some good conversation. So, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Any plugs for your show, for your social media? We'll include them down below, but people are listening.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find my show, Did That Age Well, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. You can also find Did That Age Well on YouTube, just youtube.com/@didthatagewell. You can also follow on Instagram @didthatagewell, and then on TikTok, it's @didthatagewellpod. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, everybody check out Molly Smith. She is not a flash in the pan. She has
I'm not a Moscow mule.
already has over 150
She ain't
episodes.
no nutrient zapper.
Yeah, she ain't no microwave queen over here. You better bet she's baking it. And,
Better bet.
Yeah, no, it's a great time. We're gonna keep this going a little bit, but thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of Discussion Combustion with the epic Kevin and Molly Smith here. So much fun.
Yeah.
This one's gonna be easy to find some promo clips off of.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get one where
Some
we're all
juice in
cracking
here.
up.
All right, right on.
That's probably going to be the nutrient zap, I have a feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
That's going to make
Somewhere
the
in there.
cut. That's going to make the cut.
Somewhere
So
in there.
That's what's
Yeah.
fun about it. All right, we're going to get out of here. Happy Friday coming your way tomorrow. We got some good juice over there, some good tea. You're going to want to tune in for that.
yeah.
Always fun times. Discussion Combustion Production Network. You got Raw Talk. You've got Discussion Combustion. You got Happy Friday. You got Mash the Gas if you're a NASCAR fan on audio only. We're doing it big. Molly, thanks again for hanging out.
Yeah, of course.
We're out of here. Be good to yourselves.
You deserve it.